Good afternoon, everyone. This is where it all started. This is where it all began. 8 years ago, when a CPU teacher named Miss Elizabeth Christie started a little experiment with her CPU students called Hear Us Out. That was the first one. We're now welcoming you to the 17th. If you're a film buff, like Mr. Banks or Dr. Sito, you probably recognize the title High Noon. After all, it's a classic American cowboy cult film starring Gary Cooper. Now that film was about a lawman named Marshall King who wanted to give up his job to get married and live the simple life, the American dream. Unfortunately, 4 big bad bandits came back into town and Marshall King found himself having to fight them all by himself. Interestingly enough, Jean-Francois Richard based his book on this idea of having to fight these bandits, getting the courage to come out and face them in the streets. High Noon. Those 4 bandits, in a way, represent all the things that are facing us as a community. In Richard's book, it wasn't 4 bandits, it's 20 major issues. And those 20 major issues, unfortunately, are still with us today. And that's what the students in the World Issues class are learning about and talking about and Hear Us Out. Since then, we have followed Jean-Francois Richard's recommendation of having our own Global Issues Network right here in Subang Jaya at Taylor's College in SS15. We have raised over 70,000 ringgit for local NGOs, spread information to thousands of students, and involved 4 CPU teachers, starting with Elizabeth Christie, moving on to Colin Schaefer, Daniel Lang, and myself, Easton Hammond. And I'm proud to be part of this process. Welcome to Hear Us Out 17.
Hear Us Out is a long-standing CPU event that commenced about 8 years ago and is still being held today. However, its main objectives have always remained the same: for students to learn and carry out research, teach and spread awareness, and giving back to community. Last semester, Hear Us Out experienced a change in format, with TED-style talks, monologues, and spoken word performances being introduced for the first time. This semester, Mr. Hannah once again changed things up for his World Issues class, organizing a trip to Cambodia. Immediately after landing in Cambodia, we visited the Chiang Ek Genocidal Center, also known as the Killing Field, to expose us to the Cambodian genocide carried out by the Khmer Rouge in light of the nation's regional connection to Malaysia. Mr. Hannah also wanted us to experience learning outside of the classroom, which the tour of the Killing Fields helped to facilitate.
Okay, so where are we, William?
Well, right now we're at the Killing Fields and also the museum site for it as well.
Okay. What's this building behind you here?
You could say it's a resting place for perhaps hundreds of thousands of people. Their skulls are rested here as evidence of the brutality of the Khmer Rouge.
Today, the Killing Field is a Buddhist memorial site to the victims. The memorial park is built around the mass graves of thousands of victims, most of whom were executed after they were transported from the S21 prison in Phnom Penh. The utmost respect is given to the victims of the massacres through signs and tribute sections throughout the park. Next, we visited the Tuol Sleng Genocidal Museum, a former high school which was once used as the notorious security prison 21, where we were exposed to the brutal treatment of the regime on its people. Tuol Sleng, meaning Hill of the Poisonous Trees, was only one of at least 150 execution centers in the country, and as many as 20,000 prisoners there were later killed. We were very humbled to meet one of the survivors of the S21 prison, Chumei, who shared some of his experiences along with the physical and emotional scars inflicted on him by the agents of Cambodia's Khmer Rouge. Two days after immersing ourselves in Cambodia's solemn history, we visited a children's orphanage called the Samrong Children's Farm. A children's farm such as Samrong is a home to children from the street and garbage dumps. They sleep, play, and learn on the farm. They learn music, dancing, and go to an ordinary school during the day. At the orphanage, we divided ourselves into two groups, those who would help out with the farming and those who would teach and play with the children. This 2.5-hectare farm is located just outside of the city of Phnom Penh. There is a large biological vegetable garden, a fish pond, stable for the cows and chicken and many other animals such as ducks and geese. For the most part, the electricity originates from solar panels. The produce from the vegetable garden and the greenhouse is being used in the kitchen, and the surplus is being sold on the local market. Back at the multifunctional shed, the other group were playing with the kids and even teaching them slangs. Some of them were drawing and some of them were just observing as we interact with them. The children here take care of animals, feeding them and assisting in the vegetable garden and the farm's orchard. The care for and feeding of these animals is an integral part of the learning and education process on the farm, in addition to the children's regular school education. The World Issues class was enjoying their time there as well, but alas, it was time for us to go, and how better a way to say goodbye than to sing a goodbye song.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
After landing in Malaysia, we returned back to the daily grind of classes and assignments. By this time, teams were already formed within the class to organize and distribute the workload for our main event. Daily discussions in class, from logo designs to ticketing to reviewing and providing feedback to the performance and talk crew. As part of preparation for Here's Out 17, we've decided to have a charity bake sale, raking up to almost 700 ringgit just on brownies. It was all sold out. This and the money collected from the tickets for HERO would then proceed to charity. As a recap, the main objectives of Here's Out is for students to learn and carry out research, teach and spread awareness, and lastly, give back to community. I would like to thank everyone who has made it and has allowed us to fulfill our last two main objectives. On behalf of World Issues class, this is Here's Out 17.